A chain of burger joints in the U.S. is reportedly getting ready to test the appetite of investors. According to Reuters, Shake Shack's parent company, Union Square Hospitality Group, has spoken with investment banks about filing for an initial public offering or IPO. Now, if it does, Shake Shack would be just the latest in a string of casual eating establishments opening its doors to investors and, of course, the public. Now, the chain started out as a hot dog kiosk in New York's Madison Square Park a little more than a decade ago. It now has outlets in half a dozen U.S. states. It has also expanded overseas, and you can also find their famous Shack burgers now in London, Istanbul, Moscow, and Dubai. Now, Shake Shack would be treading a rather well-known path if it does go public. At least 4 similar such companies have listed recently, and they followed more or less similar pattern. They surged at the start and then they retreated. Now, last year, both Sandwich, China, Potbelly, and Noodles & Company doubled in their debut. Their stocks have since fallen back, and this year's Zoe's Kitchen jumped 65% on its first day of trading. It did retreat a bit. Now, Papa Murphy's bucked that general trend. It opened at the low range of estimates. The stock is down about 19% since the IPO. And joining us now for his food for thought is Andy Brennan, World Fast Food Industry Analyst with IBIS. Andy, great to have you on the show.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
So, Andy, first of all, how likely is it that this Shake Shack IPO will happen? It's just talk at this stage. That's usually how these things begin. What is the likelihood?
Well, the big difference with Shake Shack, Michelle, as opposed to the other brands you mentioned, is that it's much smaller in comparison. So, for example, Zoe's Kitchen has well over 100 units throughout the US, where Shake Shack really at the moment is just a small brand, and it has been quite well known for bucking the fast food trend. So it's famous for targeting customers that don't necessarily want to dine at a fast food establishment.
So last year, their revenue was around $20 million. That's not really so much in the grand scheme of things. If they do have an IPO, how much do you think they could raise?
Well, this is all just speculation at the moment, Michelle, but we've got to put Shake Shack in the context of the broader industry. We're talking about an establishment with only 30 or 40 restaurants, compared to McDonald's in the US, which has, 14,000 in comparison.
Is McDonald's somebody that's a company rather that's likely to suffer should Shake Shack's popularity increase? Who are the competitors? Who is Shake Shack taking a bite out of their market share?
Yeah, so McDonald's is really coming under pressure from Shake Shack and the same restaurants in its segment, so the fast casual segment as it's known. So we're talking about chains like Five Guys, we're talking about Whataburger and In-N-Out on the West Coast, and Shake Shack here in New York. So the fast casual segment really competes against McDonald's on quality. It's got a slightly higher price point, but it manages to serve its food at about the same speed as McDonald's. So, but quality and price.
So how would you categorize this trend? Is it fast food but at a slightly better quality?
Exactly.
That we're seeing now? What are the driving factors behind these restaurants that do have a slightly higher price point?
Exactly right. So what the main consumer segment that these restaurants are popular with are millennials. So we're talking about anyone between 18 and 30. So what these consumers are looking for is something a little bit better in quality. They don't mind paying a bit more for it, but they aren't prepared to sacrifice on quality.
So it's not a question of going to KFC or Shake Shack or McDonald's, Burger King. Is it a question of I don't have the time to sit down at a nice place to have a nice burger? It's a question of efficiency and that same level of quality.
Exactly right. I mean, people these days have less time than ever to visit a food establishment. So that's why we've seen the rise of these fast casual establishments that can serve just as quickly as McDonald's, but have a slightly higher price point and quality of food.
Now, perhaps the creme de la creme, or the big enchilada, if you will, of this fast casual trend has been Chipotle. It's been a huge success on Wall Street. Last quarter, it had tremendous sales, even though it raised its prices for the first time in 3 years. The stock is up 12% this quarter, and over 5 years, it's almost at 700% return. Why is Chipotle so successful? What is it doing?
I mean, Chipotle is really the darling of the segment. I mean, when you talk about fast casual, you really think about Chipotle. Now, we have seen Chipotle come under cost pressures recently. Prices are rising because of the high quality ingredients it serves, but it's been able to pass those prices on to consumers. So it's been really successful at doing that.
Now, we've seen this fast casual trend picking up pace, but at the same time, the casual sit-down restaurants have suffered. The Red Lobster's Darden Group, for example, had to sell Red Lobster. Olive Garden is struggling. The CEO, Otis, had to step down. Is this a trend, or is this particular to this group of restaurants?
Sure. So the main disadvantages these restaurants have is A, they take a little bit longer to serve their food, and then B, the price is a little bit too high for what people are prepared to pay for that quality. So that's where the fast casual segment fits in, is that it fits in right between the sit-down restaurants like Red Lobster and your McDonald's.
Where do you see the next area of growth in terms of trends and in terms of global area?
Sure. So we're definitely seeing at the moment a big rise in the middle class in places like China, in Russia, in the Middle East. So definitely the fast food restaurants are pursuing those international markets. And we've seen that Shake Shack's already been successful overseas in some of these emerging markets.
Absolutely. You can already get one in Dubai and Moscow. And you know what? They now have this 24/7 cam outside the original location because the lines get so long. You can log online and see exactly how long your wait is before you venture out there to get that Shack burger. All right, we're going to have one after the show. Thank you so much. Andy Brennan, World Fast Food Industry Analyst with IBIS.